Hey guys, for today I'm going to be showing you how to propagate myrtles. In a recent video I did, I went through and I trimmed and gave a lot of my myrtles haircuts and went through and pulled off a lot of the long leads that I was talking about. And in doing so, when I was trimming up my myrtles, I was really trying to get as much of the excess growth off of them as possible, so that way I could have really good and healthy propagations for my myrtles. So what we're going to try to be shooting for is to end up with some propagations that end up looking like this. This is a propagation that's about probably 9 months old or so, and it's actually two lead stems that are off the same plant that are braided together. And so this one will actually start, hopefully, letting it flush out into a topiary form a little bit later this growing season. This specific one is a myrtle, but it is a variegated myrtle. So the ones we're going to be working with today are here, and I've got just loads of clippings here, but some of them are much better than others. I've really tried to get some nice, just long clips. So down here towards the base, you can see it's a little bit more woody, and towards the top, you can see it's a little bit more green. So that is what I was looking for. Now in doing that, what we're gonna do is go through, get our snips, or our little snipped off pieces, and then you're just gonna go through and pinch wherever it is that you feel necessary, usually like halfway, and then strip it back. That's going to allow this part to be dipped into the rooting hormone and then placed into your seed tray. So, or your whatever it is that you've got mixed up. This is just a basic seed tray that I picked up at a big box garden store. And this particular one, I've already got it set up with just regular everyday potting soil. I'm not using anything crazy fancy. So I just threw some regular everyday potting soil in here. I did go over it with a watering can to get it wet and just let it sit for a few minutes while I got all of my clippings together. So my clippings, I've just taken handfuls and thrown them in the thing. You may notice in the other video, I was just scooping them up, throwing them in to get them set up. So what I'll go through and start doing is start stripping this down. So like I said, you're gonna go through and figure out what part you're gonna strip off. So some are gonna be larger than others. Some of the little small ones, you're not gonna be able to do that too. But before we get into doing that, I'm gonna show you all the products that I use. You don't have to use this. I've had some success with rooting hormone. I've had some success without, but what I'm using today is rooting powder by Bonide. I'm just gonna say, do as I say, not as I do. You really should put some of this in a separate container just so you don't put any bacteria or anything, but I always just use this from propagating myrtles. So I'll just dab them in there and then put them into the little cells of the seed tray. But in general, put this into a separate container because you could be spreading something to something else. I'm not going to do that today out of just laziness and convenience. But what we're going to do, go through, pop this open, and then we'll just start stripping down some of the leaves off of our clippings and then just pop them in. Now I do have a little, what is it called? Little bamboo rod, and I'll go through and I'll make my little holes there. That will allow the rooting hormone to stay onto the little stem, so it doesn't end up having buildup at the top of the soil. So before we do anything, I'm going to go through and just pop holes in these, and that way they'll be in good shape. Some of them are in the center, some's not. I'm just kind of sloppily doing this. It's not rocket science what we're doing. I mean, it's going to take. With myrtles in general, you either win some or you lose some. There's no guarantee in doing this. I've had very good success with this personally, but I've also had some attempts that did not go as well. So it's all about trial and error, finding what works best for you. And this is personally what works well for me. So in my last video, like I am in the greenhouse right now, but in my last video, I did mention that my myrtles and all my topiaries have been in the greenhouse since October. And this is my first growing season with them in a greenhouse. And in years past, they've always been in inside the house, typically in our den, that has the best windows. And so this year I've seen the least amount of leaf drop that I've seen compared to years past. And let me fix this. So I've seen the least amount of leaf drop, just because it is more humid in the greenhouse compared to the house. So that's a huge plus. All right, we've almost got this set up, and then we'll go through, and I've got way more shoots than I have cells in this seed tray. I mean, I don't need that many myrtles. Do not need that many. I already have enough. But anyways, so what we're gonna do, go through, we've got this, like I said, just pinch and pull. So we're gonna strip all that off. So this is what you want, and that's what you're gonna dip into the seed tray. So throw that down there, and just get a little bit on there. Oop, there we go. So just get a little bit on there, and then once you have it, just stick it down in the cell and compact the dirt around it, and you're pretty well set. So from here, I'm just gonna go through. I have some that I've got in here that are much better candidates than others. This one's okay. It's really, really green. Probably not going to do as well. Whereas this one, it's got green and it's got a little bit of the woodiness at the bottom. So that's something that we're really going to shoot for. I need something to throw this in. So we're just going to go through. I'm just going to start stripping some of the leaves off and tossing them to the side. I'm going to try to get some of the best candidates possible so I have the best success. Now, I did let my myrtles get really, really shaggy, much shaggier than what I would normally let them get. But for this particular video, I wanted to have really good shoots for the little stem, so you guys kind of had an idea of what to look for. And it might be that you have a smaller one like this, like that. That might be as much as you can get off of yours right now. You can try it. You can try it. I've got a tray of seedlings that are all rooted and they're in good shape and ready to go that I will show you guys in just a moment once I get this tray started. Now, let's see here. And I will also explain how to kind of get it going into that topiary shape. Now with seedlings, I call them seedlings. This is a seedling to me. With them, the whole idea is to let them grow and mature. You're not going to have a topiary instantly. You don't need to stress out and worry about, oh my gosh, when do I need to trim this? Just let it be. Just be patient. That's going to be your best thing, is to just slow down, let this be what it is, and just kind of enjoy the experience and watching them grow, because it's going to take a little while for these. And when I say a little while, I mean probably at least a good size year before you start to see any type of momentum coming off of them. And let's see here. That one's a short one, but it'll work. So we've got a lot of really good candidates in here. I really overdid it when I went to saving them, but oh well. And that was too green. I personally, now this is one that could be a good one. So let me step back so I can see this. So this one's got 2. So what I'll do is I'll remove the leaves off of both stems, leave them connected, and dip the whole thing down into rooting hormone. And that one is one that I could, once it roots, I can go through and do a braid of it, and that'll kind of allow it to fill in and become a little fuller faster. So that's something I can do there. So let me go through and twist this. And I probably shouldn't have done that over the seed tray, but oh well. So you can see there, let's see, there we go. So you can see that that's what I'll dip down into the rooting hormone and then place it into the seed tray. So with this, I've got a lot of scraps, way more scraps than what I needed, but we're gonna go through and just start dipping them in rooting hormone and see what we get. We'll get a couple of more here. I know I've got some really long ones, and unfortunately they're all at the bottom. Get this. All right, so I'm just gonna go through, I'm gonna do masses of them into the rooting hormone at one time, just for convenience sake. Like I said, do as I say, not as I do, because I have done this several times with a lot of success. I'm not as worried about it. And also, I already have other seed trays filled with these, so if I lose them and they don't work, I'm not really worried about it, because it's not like I'm out anything. So you'll see on this one, we've got the white, goes up a good ways, and that's what we'll dip down in to the little cell. I'm just using my index fingers to compress this. And there's some of these, I'll do a row of them towards this end. I won't do any rooting hormone at all. The rooting hormone, like I said, it is not 100% necessary. It's just like a little insurance policy. It helps. But it's by no means a guaranteed deal. So now something else you can do, and I will show you guys that, because this is a perfect candidate for it. This, where it's a little woody, you can go through and take your fingernail and scratch it. And in doing that, I'm gonna put this up to the camera. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see it. Not really, but you can kind of see the discoloration. It's green. And if you scratch it back to the wick, that will allow it to root a little faster, because it allows the wick to be exposed a little bit. So we'll just do that. I don't always do that. I typically do it if it's super woody, but these are not super duper woody, so I'm not overly concerned with it. But as far as the rooting hormone, this is some that I picked up at a local garden center down the street from my house, and I've had this for several years, so a little bit goes a long way. And this was $7, well worth the money. But that's something you can find this Bonide product online. You could probably find it on Amazon, more than likely. I have not looked, but just a quick search and you would be able to locate it. So this is Propagating of Myrtles. So I've almost got 3 full rows all the way across. And then what I will do, once I've got this entire tray covered, I will then go back and, let me get a little bit more on that one. I will then go back and use a smaller watering can, and I will lift up the edge of this, and I will fill the underside with water. I won't water anymore on top, but I'll let it hold that moisture underneath. And by doing that, it really keeps any disruption from happening from above with the rooting hormone and the soil. I just want everything to kind of stay as it is. I don't want to disturb it, and I want these to be able to kind of rest and really focus on pulling up moisture and staying healthy. And then once they are established, then I can go into regular waterings. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick the camera up, so it's going to move a little bit, and I'm going to show you guys this. So this is a whole tray of myrtles that I propagated back in the fall, and since then I've had a couple that have passed away. I've moved some out, so there's empty cells here and there. Like this one appears dead, but at the base it's actually alive, so I just need to trim that off. But this is another really tall clipping that I took off of one of the myrtles and just put it down in the dirt. I did not use any rooting hormone or anything, and went from there. So this one is filled with bright green, fresh new growth. As you can see with these, let me push that down a little bit. You can see here at my index finger, that's how tall that was when I put it into the rooting hormone. and propagated this. And it's put on about 1 inch's worth of growth, maybe a 1/2 inch into all of these. But all in all, this is done really, really well. Like I said, I'm not super concerned with the ones up top. If they don't make it, they don't make it. I already have enough myrtles and topiaries, but you know what? It's fun. So anyways, but that is taking care of propagation of myrtles. The same thing would apply if you were trying to do lemon cypress or whatever type of plant that you're looking to do, whether it's a eugenia, which is what this is. The same thing applies. So all the same rules apply. So just take those rules, strip the leaves back, dip it in rooting hormone, place it into a seed tray, and wait. And before you know it, you'll have a plant. So with that being said, go out there, see what you can propagate, and happy gardening.